So, I just saw the new Ghostbusters film, and it was okay, I guess. I mean, I didn't actually like the film. I didn't really like it very much. I thought it was pretty bad, all things considered. I could understand how you could like it. I'll go into it, I guess. So, it's sort of it the film really heavily relies that you've seen the original film, the original Ghostbusters, because at one point in the film there's a scene where they find they're looking for like a place to set up the Ghostbusters, and they go to the firehouse where the original Ghostbusters are. But the scene sort of when they find it, they don't get it because it's like too much money. But the scene doesn't really like it doesn't affect you if you haven't seen the original Ghostbusters because you don't really get it. You don't really understand why that firehouse is such a big deal. And it does that like a few times in the film, like you had to have seen the original Ghostbusters to understand what happened in the film. Like there's a cameo from the Pillsbury, is that what he's called? The Marshmallow Doe, whatever he's called, the big marshmallow man. He's sort of like there for a little cameo, and he doesn't really do much, which I thought was quite sad because he's like such a big part of the original film. And the villain, I didn't really like the villain in the film either. The villain was just sort of this guy who was like obsessed with ghosts, or something. No, he was like sad because like throughout his whole life everyone bullied him, so he decided, oh, I'm gonna release a bunch of ghosts and destroy the world. And it didn't really make sense to me. Like, he just sort of decides to destroy the world and become a super ghost because people were mean to him. And they do the whole, oh, you and I aren't so different bit, like, to the Ghostbusters, because they're like, oh, look, he used the same technology as we did, whoa, that's weird. So, yeah. And, like, definitely not as good as the original. Like, if you've got the choice to see the original or this one, definitely not as good. Like, I don't even remember any of the characters' names. Maybe one or two. There was I think Patty. Patty was the black Ghostbuster, who was, she was like, the acting was it was okay. It was passable, I guess. But and there was Kevin. Kevin was the secretary, like like the secretary in Ghostbusters in the original. She wasn't dumb. She was like just a secretary who was like a bit tired of doing her job. Kevin in this film is like really dumb, and it's not funny. I'd like people in the cinema, like, they were laughing at this film. They thought this film was, like, great. They were laughing so, like, hysterically at it. But, lighting. I got that light. But I didn't laugh once. I didn't laugh once in the entire film. I laughed in the adverts before the film, and I felt more emotion there. Like, there was a advert that made me laugh and cracked a few jokes with my dad, who was also there, who he enjoyed the film, but I didn't. And then there was a sad sort of advert about, donate to this charity because kids are dying, I guess. And I felt sad, as the advert aims to do, and I felt more there than in the actual film, which shouldn't happen. Like, and there was this one joke. There was this one joke where they upload their video, because in the first Ghost Encounter they record it and upload it to YouTube. Woo, YouTube. And brand recognition. And someone in the comments of the video is like, no, bitches can't be fighting ghosts. And I guess that's like a nod to all the people who hate on the film. But the joke was, they said it overly defensively. Like, it wasn't funny, it was just defensive. Like, no, female power. Like, I was all for the female cast. The only problems I had with the female cast was they made it a gimmick. It was gimmicky. The only reason, like, oh, look, we have a female cast. Yeah, like, you could have made them like dogs, and it wouldn't have changed anything about the film, which I suppose is a good thing, I guess, because like, oh, if you made the men, film still would have been bad, which is exactly my point. All the people saying, oh, people don't like this film because they're women. No, if you made them men, I would still equally not like this film. It, like, the first ghost encounter, they go to a house, I think. It's like a museum house of these people that died. And, like, in the original film, the first encounter with the ghost is in a library. But in this film, it's in a house, and that's fine. But the first encounter with the original ghost in Ghostbusters, the ghost jumps at them, it sort of screams at them, then flies away. In this film, the ghost jumps at them, then vomits on the main character. What was her name? I think her name was Aaron? Was her name Aaron? I think her name was Aaron. Vomits on Aaron, and then sort of, flies out the house, I guess. And it didn't add anything. She got vomited on. And then she gets fired because her boss sees the video, and then they start the Ghostbusters, I guess. And then, the best character in the film was what was she called? I don't know her name. I actually don't know her name, and she was the best character in the film. Oh, what was her name? I think they said it like once. She was the blonde one, the like engineer, the insane one, and she was the best character in the film. Honestly, probably got me closest to laughing, because I didn't even smile in this film, man. I was straight-faced, stone cold during this entire film. And she was probably the one who got me to feel like, oh, this could be funny, I guess. And it was an okay film, all in all, but definitely not as good as the original. Would not see this again. I would not see this again. It wasn't unpleasant. It wasn't offensive. It just wasn't very good. So, if y'all gonna see it, just, keep in mind what this 13-year-old boy has to say about this film. It was very rambly. I don't have a script, sorry. Yeah, that's my film review of Ghostbusters 2016. I don't know how to end this video, man. They're making another remake with all men. Maybe that will appease some people. Boop.